Howdy. So today, I'm going to start with a conjecture of sorts. With a statement that over the course of this video, I'm going to try and prove. The statement is that execute commands are some of the most useful commands in all of making data packs. Kind of a bold statement, huh? Because after all, there's scoreboard commands, there's data, there's maybe replacing items. There's a lot of things to do. But let's go into the world, and I'll show you what I mean. For those who don't know what the execute command is, it essentially runs something. Oops. I'll do this a bit later. It runs something from the perspective of an entity or entities. Excuse me. So for instance, if I do execute as at e type equals item at srun summon, I don't know, zombie. It does nothing right now because there's no items, but let me go ahead and drop some items on the ground. Run the command again, and bada bing. Spawn a bunch of them. That is the power of the execute command. Now let's try this with a Datapack example. Suppose I wanted to make something that I'll call the reverse Midas touch. I'm going to surround myself with gold. Whenever I'm on top of this gold, I want to increment this variable. When it hits 20, it will kill my player, spawn a golden statue where I was, and then reset the variable. So let me hop on over into Notepad++. That's showing up properly. And this is the code. Let me try and break this down bit by bit. Execute commands are basically shell commands. These are arguments that are run alongside this. So it's running scoreboard players add tutorial test kill switch 1 as all players at their position only if there's a gold block directly below them. Likewise, it does the same thing, setting it to 0 as all players at their position, but unless there is a gold block underneath. And then likewise, if the score kill switch matches 20, kill, summon that golden armor stand from before, and set that score to 0. So let's see it in action. Look at that. A princely golden statue for my horrible fate. Kill at E type equals not a player. Okay, that's the first thing that I want to show. The second thing I'm going to call, call it creeper tridents. I'm just trying to think of projectile and entity. So what I'm going to do is let me get rid of all this code. I want to run a command that will make it so that when a trident hits the ground, it will delete itself and summon a creeper. So that I would do that, execute as at e type equals trident at s if, let's make this a bit simpler, nbt equals in ground : 1b. What this is this is the NBT data for when a trident is lodged in the ground. Run, kill at s, and then run. A quick word of warning. When you're running conditionals like this, the kill command should always be at the bottom. That way the rest of the code is able to run. Summon creeper. So now, if that works properly, let's reload. Creeper tridents. Simple enough. The last thing that I want to do of these 3 examples is one that's a bit more complex, and I had some trouble with this last time I tried to record this. A common practice with a lot of data packs is to do item drop recipes. So suppose I want to craft something. Well, the way that I would craft it is by dropping one item entity with one specific ID, and then another one with a different ID, and then a third with a different ID. All 3 of them together will produce some sort of effect. So right now, let's just write it out here. Let's do blaze powder plus gunpowder plus sand. Oh, let's do yellow concrete powder. Equals explosion. So, how would I go about doing this is the real problem. Start as, execute as, @e, type equals item. Now the item that we choose to start doesn't really matter. Let's do item. B. Blaze powder. Add s run. And real quick, I'm going to do particle end rod just to be sure that it works. Let's tab back over. Let's get some blaze powder out. Alright, it works properly. So now, the question becomes, that's cute, but how do I make it so that it reads multiple items? Well, think about this. What I said earlier, this is basically a shell command. I never specified that it had to, I never specified that you could nest these commands together. So what I can do is something like this. Blaze powder is the first prong, gunpowder is the second prong, and yellow concrete powder is the third prong. Kill @e type equals item. Let's do that real quick, and then I'll explain the downfall of this method. I get some gunpowder and some yellow concrete powder. Come on. So the data pack is still working. 1, 2, 3. You might notice it didn't actually throw out. That's because it instantly killed all items. Even though, if they're far away, yeah, that's not going to work. So, I need to add distance. Think about it this way. From the blaze powder, it's going to check up to 1 block away from it. And then once it's found that, that will be the new location, and it'll have to check 1 block away from that. And if all is well, it'll kill all items within a distance of, let's say, 1.33. Make it a little bit larger, just to be certain that it gets it. So now, why is this not working? Oh, I see. I see my error. This is a very common error and a very dangerous error to make. Need to put 2 dots here. Distance is weird. This syntax means a distance up to 1.33 blocks. If you do just distance equals 1.33, it's not going to work, because it's going to look for anything that is exactly 1.33 blocks away. But that works perfectly. So now, tab back over, you know the deal by now. And then run summon creeper, tilde, 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 fuse of 0. And then, just for the fun of it, let's add in a play sound command as well. Run. Play sound. Let's do entity, wither, def, master, at a, tilde, 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 1, 2. I think that syntax is correct. That might be wrong. It's worth a shot. You might notice that the creeper does flash on screen for a tick. There is no way for me to fix that, unfortunately. If I were to make the creeper invisible, because of the way that creepers work now, when a creeper is afflicted by a status effect, when it dies, or when it explodes, it'll drop a lingering potion of that effect. With invisibility, that's kind of a problem. The invisible creeper will drop an invisibility effect, which is not ideal. So, whatever. It's frustrating, but you live with the change when you make Datapacks. The last thing I want to do is work off of... I don't know how I want to do this last one. Because I've done 2 examples already. Yeah, screw it. I'll do another, because I did 3, because there's also the creeper tridents. Screw it. I have time for another. This video is actually quite short at the moment. So let's go to Notepad. What should I do? What should I do? Let's do something a bit more complex, and this will be a nice segue into NBT data. So, what I want to do is I want to make... Snowballs will now throw falling blocks, let's say. Now that seems kind of insane at first glance, but it's very doable. Do execute as at e type equals snowball at as run. You get very used to this syntax. Ah, crap, I'm gonna have to make new scoreboard objectives. Add tutorial test. Let's do pause X. And pause Y, pause Z. Dummy, 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 X, Y, Z. Data get entity at S. 10,000. I'll explain my rationale for why I'm doing it like this in the next video, but just know that this kind of method is very useful. Store result, score at S. And this is actually a syntax that I use all the time. Now, I'm not certain if this will work, but it's worth a shot. Let me go ahead. My insane machinations are done. Let's head back in, reload, and let's change the scoreboard. Set display to track position X. Grab a snowball and see if it works. Oh my god, it works. Fantastic. So what it's doing is it's getting the current position of the snowball. If I throw it straight up, it barely moves at all. If I throw it in that direction, it moves very fast, but if I were to go 90 degrees, it almost doesn't move at all. So now I know that it can get values. Let's swap it over a bit. Instead of get position, it will get motion. And motion is very strange. It varies on how it's actually implemented from entity to entity. Some will update their sprite every single tick, or every single graphical tick, which is different from in-game ticks for some reason. Some will be a bit laggier, like falling blocks. I can't really help that, unfortunately. Let's add in that run thing. Run, summon, let's do falling block, tilde, tilde, tilde. I want to say that it's block state that I'm looking for here. Oh, no, it's block state and then name. I don't expect to know all this stuff. A lot of this comes from the Minecraft wiki and lots and lots and lots of practice. I'll give it a custom tag. This will be very helpful, and I think I might just go with throw block and throw block motion impulse. Motion impulse is a method that I use quite a bit when doing this kind of stuff. And then let's do execute as at e type equals snowball at s store result entity at e tag equals throw block motion impulse limit equals 1 motion 0. If you notice, these motion values. This is 1 over this. So when I run this, it will, in theory, return a slightly truncated version of the data that we want. So now, let's do run scoreboard players get at s that 1. And then 1, 2, y, z, excuse me. And then at s, run, tag, at e, tag equals, throw block motion impulse, remove, throw block motion impulse. Alright, that was a lot of coding, and usually it's a bad idea to shotgun it like that. Let's see if it pays off. It didn't pay off. Something's wrong. This is a nice way to show off what happens when you have to debug, I guess. What I like to do is really just copy it line by line. I almost certainly missed something, and I think I already know what I missed, but let's go in line by line. If something's missing, it'll flash red. I'm gonna skip the summon. I think I know what happened. Yep. There needs to be a double there. Because those values are stored as doubles. So reload. Let's try now. There's still an error somewhere. It's a little game of whack-a-mole that you have to play here. That's another issue. Okay, that's the secondary issue, and likely the only other one. These should not be here. Oops. Okay. It should be all the bug fixing I have to do. Well, this is the other problem. Oh. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. It works, but not really, because If you notice, it's having trouble rendering. Now, what I like to do with this is there's a workaround you can do with armor stands, and it's a bit laggy, but I don't really mind it because it's on a small scale. I did this for the boat. I'll have to refactor this as summon armor stand. I think it's like passengers. Open that. ID equals falling block. Okay, if I did this correctly, this should still work. Let's take the tags and actually let's take just this half. Because giving that motion impulse is going to do absolutely nothing because it's already attached to something else. So I gotta move it down to the armor stand. And I can make it invisible in due time, but I just want to make sure it works for now. It does not. Okay. Again, it's like a back and forth that you have to do with this. Minecraft falling block. Okay, I've run into a bit of a rut. Let me consult my good friend MC Stacker. This is one of the links that I had linked. There we go. One of the things that I had linked in the description of the video. Now, let me do exactly that. Let's make an armor stand. Add a passenger that's a falling block. How would you... I feel like I just do all of it here then. Just to show off that it works. Stone bricks. Let's add. Pardon me, I'm gonna have to tab back and forth quite a bit here, but I promise I am doing this with grace, speed, all that jazz. While I'm here too, let's make it small and invisible. Okay, I have this, and I have the. I know from experience that these will basically always work. There's a few times where it won't, but you'll be able to tell when it doesn't work. Because a lot of the time when it doesn't work, it's just that the context, it just makes no sense. And there we go. That's brilliant. Now the final step for this complex project, let's do a kill. The very last step is to make it so that when those, let's do add another tag, throw block holder, and then do execute as at e tag equals throw block holder at s if. Let's go with if data entity at s motion. Oh no, this is the easier way to do it. A lot of times the easiest way to do this stuff is often just with target selectors, because they end up being a bit easier to process. Kill at s. Now if I did that right, mayhaps, reload. That's perfect. Now it'll only work there we go. Throwable bricks. Rejoice, for I can now throw rocks. I made my own little de facto Stonehenge just by screwing around. So, regardless, that's about all I got. In trying to extend the runtime of the video, I ended up extending it by quite a long time, so I'm going to wrap it up rather quickly. The homework assignment for today is going to be a bit simpler than this. Simply make a data pack that it will be explosive arrows will be your task. I don't care really how you do it. You can do it in a spectacular fashion, or you can just make it spawn a creeper. You can do it with mob griefing, without mob griefing, add some fireworks maybe, use MC Stacker, make it only work with players. The world is your oyster. After all, these are exercises of creativity to make sure that you understand the material. So there's no hard and fast requirement besides the arrow needs to explode. So have a bit of fun with it. Regardless, that's about all I got for this one. Sorry this one ended up running for a bit longer than I expected to. Thanks so much for watching, though. Have a good day, y'all.